If you're trying to get your head around simplifying fractions and finding equivalent fractions, then you've come to the right place. If you'd like to have a go at any of the questions in today's video lesson, then grab yourselves a pen and something to write on. And whilst this is considered a non-calculator topic and is more likely to appear on the non-calculator paper at GCSE, if you want to have a calculator to help you out, then you're more than welcome to, but just bear in mind that you'll need to get to a point where you don't rely on it. If you need a bit longer to read through the task board, then pause the video now and hit play when you're ready to start. Fractions are how we express a part out of its total. If you take, for example, the full green circle on the left, imagine the pieces are still together, and I cut it in half and separated it into two parts, then we would express that as one part out of two. Or 1, we use the fraction line to represent out of 2, and we would read that fraction as 1/2. You might be quite familiar with that one. And so if I take one of those pieces, I have taken 1/2 of the circle. Likewise, if I cut the circle into 3 equal parts, we would express each part as 1 out of 3, which you might be familiar with as the fraction 1/3. And if I take one of those pieces, I have taken 1/3 of the circle. Equivalent fractions are when you have two fractions that look different, they have different numbers in, but are actually worth the same value. We can use a fraction wall to help us out. So we've got here that the fraction of 1/2, which you can see here in purple, is the same size, if you look below, as putting 2 quarters together. So 2 1/4 or 2 quarters is the same size as 1/2. And I can write this like so. So 2 quarters is equal to 1/2. And we can see that visually on our diagram. But there is actually a way to work it out. And that is if we divide the top and the bottom by the same number. So if I divide both of these by 2, I will get an equivalent fraction. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And if we're bringing the numbers in the fraction down, if we're making them smaller, we call this simplifying. And if we divide by the biggest number we possibly can and bring the numbers in the fraction to the smallest we possibly can, we call that writing the fraction in its simplest form. So when you simplify it as much as you can, that's the simplest form. A few more examples here. So we have got that on the green, on the left hand side, we've got 1/3 is equivalent to 2/6. And if we're making the numbers bigger in our fraction, so like here we're scaling up, we're multiplying both numbers by 2, then we just say that's an equivalent fraction. It's when we scale down, so if I take the purple ones on the right hand side, you can hopefully see we've got 1, 2, 3/6 is equivalent in size to 1/2. When we make the numbers smaller, that's simplifying. And numerically, hopefully you can see that to do that, what we've done is divided the top and the bottom of the fraction by 3. So if we do the same thing, multiply by the same thing, or divide by the same thing on the top and bottom, we get an equivalent fraction. And if we're finding an equivalent fraction where we're making the numbers smaller, that's simplifying. So let's have a look at some questions. It's quite typical that you'll get some fill in the blank questions or identify the equivalent fraction. So here we have got 2/5, and they want us to find an equivalent fraction where the denominator, the number on the bottom, is 20. So we're going to ask ourselves how many 5s go into 20, and if you need to use your fingers to help you, you can. 5, 10, 15, 20. That's 4. So what I've done is I've times 5 by 4 to get 20. Whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. So 2 times 4 is 8. So these fractions are exactly the same value. They are worth the same. They just look different. So we say they're equivalent. On this second one, we're trying to get 21 down to 3. So this is a simplify. 21 to get to 3 is divide by 7, because how many 7s are in 21? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. That was 7. So we do the same to the denominator, which is to divide by 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5. Here are 2 questions for you to have a go at. I'm going to pop the answers up straight away, so if you pause the video and hit play when you're ready to see the solution. For this one, I can see that 10 to get to 50, I've got to times by 5. So if I do the same to the numerator, the number on the top, that will be 3 times 5, 15. And then for this second one, quite tricky, to get from 45 to 3, we would have to divide by 15. And so 90 divided by 15 is 6. So this one would be 3 over 6. We then have questions asking us to simplify, so it's very important we get our answers in their simplest form. And how you approach this question will depend how confident you are with your times tables, because you don't always have to do the biggest times table to be able to get to the simplest answer. You may do it by doing smaller jumps. For example, I know that 16 and 40 are both in the 2 times table. So if I divide them both by 2, that would get me 8 over 20. But what I would need to realise is that's not the simplest form, and that actually I can divide both of these numbers again. Now, I might spot again that they're both in the 2 times table and divide by 2 again, or I might be comfortable and spotting that they're both in the 4 times table, so I can divide by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 20 divided by 4 is 5, and then there's no whole number that I can divide both of these numbers by, so 2/5 is the simplest form. However, if you're more confident in your times tables, you may have noticed that both of these are in the 8 times table, and you could have done 16 divided by 8 is 2, 40 divided by 8 is 5, and jumped straight to the final answer, straight to the simplest form. In your exam, it doesn't matter which method you use. If you need to take smaller steps to get to the final answer, that's absolutely fine, and it's better that you work with what you can manage and get it right than try and do it all at once and get it wrong. So if you're not as confident with your times tables, take smaller steps when simplifying. In this second question, I can see that they're not both in the 2 times table because 63 is an odd number. They'd have to be even to be in the 2 times table. They are both in the 3 times table. I can do 18 divided by 3, which is 6, and 63 divided by 3 is 21. And I can see again that they're in the 3 times table again. So divide by 3 again. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 21 divided by 3 is 7. So I did that in 2 smaller jumps. If I wanted to, I could have divided 18 by 9 and 63 by 9 and got the same answer by doing it in 1 jump. But it doesn't matter. Go with what's more comfortable for you. Here are 2 questions for you to have a go at. Pause the video and hit play when you're ready to see the solutions. Both of these numbers, 24 and 36, are in the 12 times table. So if I divide them both by 12, I will get 2 over 3. If you got 2 out of 3, then you are correct, even if you did this using lots of small steps. You might have started by dividing by 2 or by 3 and followed it through until you got to the simplest form. It doesn't matter, as long as you got 2/3 at the end, you are absolutely fine. And I know 28 and 49 are both in the 7 times table. So my answer would be 4 over 7. Now on to some multiple choice questions. I'll pop a 10-second timer on the screen as they do help to keep some people on track, but if timers just don't work for you, feel free to pause the video and just ignore it and hit play when you're ready to see the answer. Which of these is equivalent to 5/8? Here are your options. Which of these is not equivalent to 15 over 25? Here are your choices. The answer was D. Simplify 12 over 22. The answer was A. And simplify 55 over 100. The answer there was B. If you would like some independent practice just to check you've got those skills secure, here are 8 questions on the screen for you to have a go at. The first 4 are fill in the blank equivalent fractions and the remaining 4 are simplify questions. Pause the video now so you've got time to do them and I'll be popping the answers straight on, so hit play when you're ready to see them. And here are those answers. Just double check you've got those correct. If not, do go back and watch the examples. Sometimes seeing them for a second time can really help you to secure your understanding. And if there's anything specific you need help with, feel free to pop it in a comment below. We do aim to answer all questions and comments related to the content of the video. All that's left to be said is a big well done for taking part in this video lesson today. A reminder that every little bit of extra revision or independent study that you do will impact your outcome in a positive way when you come to sit your GCSEs. The more you do, the better. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more video lessons. And if you like short form content, we are also over on TikTok and Instagram, where we post revision, quizzes and tips. Until next time, I'm Charlotte. Thank you for watching.